Hi everybody, welcome back to Tip Tuesday. We're heading full steam ahead into baking season. So I thought this week I might do something a little different and talk about a couple of ingredients that we typically see in our baked good recipes, and talk a little bit about what the difference is and why you use one over the other, or how they work. So baking soda and baking powder. They're both leavening agents. What that means is they help your dough or your baked good rise. They give it those nice little bubbles, make them nice and light and airy. Baking soda is just that, pure baking soda. It is sodium bicarbonate, and that's all that's in there. And the way that it works is that you mix it with an acid. So if you mix it, you'll often see a recipe call for baking soda mixed with buttermilk or with yogurt. Those are acidy ingredients, and the baking soda reacts with them, reacts immediately, and you'll see bubbles start to form. So that's how baking soda works. Important tip with baking soda is it reacts once. As soon as it hits that acid ingredient, carbon dioxide bubbles start to come to the surface and cause your baked good to start to get those bubbles and that air in the product. So for any baked good, but especially when you're working with baking soda, it's really important that you have everything ready to go. Your oven is preheated, your pan is prepared, you have your dry ingredients mixed, you have your butter and your sugar all creamed, and your wet ingredients mixed in or ready to go. So that when you combine everything, combine it, put it in the pan, it starts reacting, you get it in the oven, and you have a nice light, airy baked good. If you forgot something and you've mixed your wet and your dry ingredients and this has already started reacting, you just won't have as light and airy a baked good as you would if you put it in the oven immediately. So, important tip with all baked goods, but especially when you're working with baking soda, have everything ready to go, combine it, and get it in the oven. That's baking soda. Baking powder, you see this more often in recipes. Baking powder is baking soda combined with cream of tartar and cornstarch. Baking powder, usually what you'll see in the store when you're buying it is the can will say double acting. What does that mean? Well, like baking soda, when you mix it with wet ingredients, it starts reacting right away. But it also then, combine it, put it in the oven, as soon as the heat starts to hit it, it reacts again. So double acting starts, get those carbon dioxide bubbles as soon as you mix it with the wet ingredients, but then once the heat hits it, you get more of those carbon dioxide bubbles released, and your baked good rises even more. So for cakes and quick breads, you'll see baking powder an awful lot. Cookies, you'll see baking powder used. Baking powder does have an expiration date. It is perishable, and it will stop working as well when it's not as fresh as it used to be. So this one has a best buy of August 3rd, 2022. I did just buy it, so it's good to go. I bought it because what I do, and it's really just the way my pantry works, is I take it from this and put it in these nice little airtight tins or containers. But when I do that, I forget when I bought it, and I don't have the best buy date anymore. So I can test it to find out if it's still good. Really easy way to do that. And even if you still have the tin and you're really close to that best buy date, You might want to test it just to make sure. You don't want to go through and make your bake good and have it not rise. So testing it, this is a really easy way to do it. You take 1/3 cup of hot water and add a teaspoon of your baking powder to it. I don't know if you can see this, but it's bubbling away. So my baking powder is still good. If it doesn't bubble away like that and it stays kind of flat, it's kind of like Alka-Seltzer. If it doesn't do that, if it doesn't bubble and it stays kind of flat, there is a trick. You can make your own. Remember, baking powder comes from baking soda, cream of tartar, and cornstarch. Very simple. It's 2 parts cream of tartar, 1 part baking soda, 1 part cornstarch. So if you need a teaspoon of baking powder, you use 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of cornstarch, and 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And there you have it. You have your own homemade baking powder. So that's kind of my tip for Tuesday as we head into baking season, what the difference is between baking soda, baking powder, how to use it, and how to test it to make sure it's still good, and how to make your own at home. So have a great week, everyone. I will see you next week. Happy Tuesday.